Mute, mute, close. Okay, we've upgraded. Oops. It's rock solid.
There we go. This week's parsha, we have the subject matter of Idui Maaseh. Lashon HaShlishit, Shnas HaMaaseh. So then Meiser Rishon to the Levi, Meiser Oni, come to Yerushalayim. So the man again makes a statement. We discussed yesterday that by Bikurim, there's two parts. There's Levi and Koreh, reading the Bikurim and reading the Parsha. So here also, there are two actions. There's the actual, the Arti HaKodesh Minabayis, to give the Meiser that was stored up that you didn't give until now. We got the Satri, Levi, Lagel, Layosom, Lamodo. I've given it to all of those that deserve to receive it. So that's the action that's involved. Then there is Koreh. Then there's a prayer that's involved here. The man says, Ashkifa, Revon Kotshecho Min HaShamayim, Uvarech Zamcho Yisrael. So that's part of the process. And the Gemara calls it Vidui Maaser. It's a confession. It's words that have to be said. He has to say the Arti HaKodesh Minabayis. Not enough to give it, he has to say it. So that's a Dinin Tzedakah, by the way, just as an aside, that there are two parts to Tzedakah. One part is the action, you sign the check, you give the money. The other part, which is far more difficult, is the attitude. The Chofetz Chaim in the Sefer Abbas Chesed details that tzedakah that's not given the Sefer Ponim Yochos, that's not given with the correct attitude. And so then it's just money that you gave, not the mitzvah. The mitzvah is the attitude. And sometimes a person doesn't have money to give, but he still has attitude to give. And therefore, that mitzvah is layered. The one layer is the actual action of the mitzvah, and the other is what is said, what is intended, what the attitude is. They say that on the Pasuk, Achol v'chesed yidukuni kol yemei chayai. The Chofetz Chaim points out there in Amos Chesed as well. He says a person has roads to him all of his life. We have things that pursue us. Sometimes they're not pleasant. Troubles, family troubles, economic troubles, social troubles, political troubles. So he has road feet. He has those problems that pursue him. So you cannot go through life, he says, without being pursued. Somebody is, so to speak, always after you. So David HaMelech prayed, "Achtov chesed yirtuni kol yemei chaya." I also know I have to have pursuers. But the pursuers should be tov chesed. The ability to help others. The ability to do good. But that should be, I should feel that I'm constantly being pursued by these opportunities, by what this is in store for me. So then the Shavti, the Veis Hashem, Lo. And we say that with David Oli, right? Shifti, the Veis Hashem, Kol Yemei Chaya. The person thinks he's sitting the Veis Hashem, so then all of his pursuers and all of the problems, so to speak, all are positive. But if he thinks he's sitting in his palace, so then he has a lot to worry about. He has to worry whether or not his insurance is paid, whether the company will be in existence. I have a friend, colleague, great relevant from America, who made Aliyah 45 years ago. So he was living on a pension from the United States. And the pension was from an insurance company. It was called Mutual Benefit Life Insurance Company from New Jersey. So this was an old line insurance company who did a business for 150 years. And then the company went belly up. Company failed. So he, so to speak, had to start all over again. And he's not 25 years old anymore. So he said to me ruefully, he said, you know, I always knew that I had to pray on behalf of myself and my family. But I never realized that I had to pray on behalf of my insurance company as well. So in life, many things happen. And we have many roads in. But we want to have Tova Chesed here to fully go in Echaim. So that's why when he brings the Meiser, he has to say the Parsha, because that shapes his attitude. So a person can give Meiser the way he pays his income tax. So everybody pays income tax, but they pay it begrudgingly. So we look for the loophole that will save us money. We look for the situation that perhaps the tax will not take effect. But when it comes to tzedakah, we cannot have that attitude. We cannot have the attitude when it comes to giving the meiser, what loophole? The Gemara brings cases that people naturally took advantage of technicalities not to give the meiser. They would sneak the grain in that it wouldn't be roet me'abayis. Technically, you don't give meiser from such produce. Or the Levi. So every Levi that came to him, he would say, "You're not the Levi I want to give it to." Or you would say, "Prove to me that you're a Levi." So that's one attitude. So the Torah wants to avoid that attitude. So therefore, he gave him this parsha to recite. By reciting the parsha, he would now focus on the positive part. The Gam Nisati, Lalevi, Lager, Layosam, Amona, Matono, I gave it wholeheartedly, happily, an opportunity to do the mitzvah, an opportunity to help someone who needs help. So that's a different attitude completely. And since Meruvim Tzorchei Amcha, there's no limit to these things. So it's understandable that it is hard to maintain such a level of attitude when it comes to these matters. Rashi points out that at the end of the prayer he says, Ashkipo Limon Kotchakom Minam Shamayim. Rashi points out that Ashkipo, that verb, is always a negative verb. We find it by stone, by Ashkef Hashem. When a negative thing is going to happen, we say that is how the heaven looked at it, so to speak. But this is the exception. Here, Ashkifa is going to be a bracha. So what changes Ashkifa to be the bracha is the attitude that the person had in giving a ma'aser. If it's vidui ma'aser, so then we have the correct attitude, then an Ashkifa becomes a bracha. But without the attitude, then Ashkifa has a negative connotation to it that remains always. Ashkifa, difference between a bottle, let's say, and Ashkifa, of a Yaveh, the sea is always the sea in detail. And Ashkifa is the sea generally. So if we allow the Holy Shalom to view us in detail, he will find good points amongst all of us. That's what Avraham Avinu said by stone. That maybe there's 50, 40, 30, look good, man. It's enough to find a little. Ashkifa is to look generally. To look generally, things look bleak. They don't look positive. They don't look good. And therefore, it's a lashon of erroneous. It's a language of a verb that's used to indicate negativity. So the attitude of the person when he gives the ma'aser, the parsha that he recites, is what transformed Ashkifa as well. The general attitude should also be one that is l'bracha, l'tova, for the person and for the society as a whole. And the Chanami that I got to that the was out of Israel. V'chal chibur lahem Torah mitzvot shene'emar Adonai chafetz man shekol yadil Torah.